the rest.
All he has to do is keep in front. Win number 2 for Stenhouse.
Finally, the series returns to the superspeedway of Talladega. With only 2 races remaining, the beginning of another race begins. The race for the 2008 ARCA Championship.
Talladega Superspeedway, only 2 races remain, and we kick it off with the ARCA Remax 250 from Talladega, Alabama, round 20 of the 2008 season. Hello, everyone. Ken Schrader, Phil Parsons, I'm Rick Allen with you for this one, the big one, Talladega Superspeedway. Now, we have 2 competitors that are really fighting it out here in the points championship with Scott Speed and Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
Yeah, and this is the race that they circled at the beginning of the year. They know they have to get through this race. As a matter of fact, Eddie Sharp, who is a team owner for Scott Speed, says, I can't wait till next year when this race actually moves to the spring in April, because he doesn't want this race this close to the end when the championship is at stake.
Yeah, and there's so many people that are on different agendas than our 2 points contenders.
Oh, most definitely. We got guys working to get that good point finish. We got guys worrying just about nothing but winning that race today. You know, we got two wild card races. Daytona, the guys that made it through that, now they got to worry about this one. But boy, a whole lot of agendas going on today.
Bunch of different agendas. So we've got an interesting race for you today, but let's look back 2 weeks as to what has taken place in the ARCA Remax series 2 weeks ago. Salem Speedway. It was Frank Kimmel who was on his winning ways as he goes back-to-back. Happy birthday, Dad. Kimmel climbing out of that race car with that win. Another win for Frank Kimmel. 74 in his career. And then it was the rain-soaked New Jersey Motorsports Park, that road course that they went to, and Justin Allgaier ends up winning that one. It was rain-shortened, but Allgaier will take it just the same. Take a look at our point standings after 19 races. Scott Speed, Ricky Stenhouse, those 2 are battling it out, especially today on this track.
But what we really see interesting here was people noticing the ARCA series, Scott Speed moving up to Cup, and Justin Allgaier being signed as a development driver for Penske.
Very impressive last race, obviously, for Justin Allgaier. Let's hear from our point leader. He's with Ray Dunlap.
Well, it's been an exciting year for Scott Speed, no doubt about that. 4 wins this year, Scott, but on a chase for a championship. 2 races to go, and one of those being Talladega. Your thoughts?
I don't know. I mean, it's going to be survival at this point. I mean, if we can survive the next 2 races, then, you know, naturally we're going to finish around the top 10, and that's good enough for the championship. So I think the biggest thing we're trying to do is not do anything stupid and try to avoid getting in someone else's accident.
Okay, good luck to you today. It's 60 points separating he and Ricky Stenhouse, who's with Jim.
Ricky Carmichael in the number 33, driving for Kevin Harvick Incorporated. Yes, that's right. Ricky Carmichael, normally seen on 2 wheels, and when he is on 2, he is dominant. As a matter of fact, his nickname is GOAT, greatest of all time.
When your fellow competitors nickname you GOAT, that's pretty amazing.
His statistics are amazing. He has put together 150 AMA motocross wins, 5-time Supercross champ, 10-time AMA outdoor champ, and X Games gold medalist. And Wendy Venerini caught up with him before he climbed in the car.
In the ARCA field today, we have the nickname Sliced Bread, Mr. Showtime, and now add GOAT, the greatest of all time, Ricky Carmichael, the most successful motocross racer. And today you're going to test your talent with your first ARCA start right here at Talladega and your first run for Kevin Harvick. I know at the test session you said you were anxious and a little bit sick to learn about drafting. What have you learned, and are you still anxious?
Well, I'm definitely anxious. You know, we've done a little bit of drafting and testing, and I have a feeling it's not going to be the same as the drafting that we're going to do in the race. So we're here to learn and to gain respect and try to get things ready for next year. So I'm looking forward to it. very thankful for Kevin Harvick Incorporated giving me this chance, and we're going to do the best we can do, and like I said, learn. That's the main objective.
All right, Ricky Carmichael, a great start for today's field, and it might be the objective to learn, but it's also the goal to get approved by NASCAR to race the 2009 Daytona race in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
So again, a great story with Ricky Carmichael stepping in. He's trying to get NASCAR to approve him so that he can run Daytona next year. And Ken, obviously you know a lot about this kid.
We've had the pleasure of working with him this year, and he's been phenomenal to work with. I mean, he's just got quite a feel for the car, and he's learning quick.
And so the cars are now rolling around the racetrack. All of the drivers obviously strapped in and ready to go. Will it be a young gun that wins today, or will it be the veterans? Speed coverage of the ARCA Re Series from Talladega is presented by RE/MAX, serving all your real estate needs above the crowd. Brought to you in part by ARCA Nation. Get in, get on, ARCARacing.com. And by the auto parts experts at AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Working on pace laps for the 43-car field. A gorgeous afternoon in Talladega, Alabama. 80 degrees, a slight breeze. The sun beating down on this racetrack, and it's a very smooth racetrack, Phil.
Yeah, Kenny, you just got off this racetrack with your Sprint Cup car in practice. How was the racetrack?
The track's good. Now, we did only get about 5 laps of practice after they had a multi-car wreck down between 3 and 4 and put down a ton of oil dry. So I don't think that'll be a problem, but might be a little bit exciting for the first couple laps. I know I was looking for it when I went through there.
It usually is anyway.
Yeah, usually it's exciting anyway. Oil in the track doesn't seem to ever help.
Our RE/MAX starting grid is going to roll across the top of the screen. James Buescher gets the pole. Tom Hessert III will start on his outside, making up row number 1. I would guess that's the best seats in the house, at least to start this race.
It'd be a real good place if I was one to start this race. But that second row, I think we had Eddie Mercer, or Eddie Mercer's in the third row. He's third row in. Where is Eddie Mercer?
5th, yep.
Yeah, he's starting 5th. And that car, you know, with a lot of cup connections, like a lot of the cars in this race today.
It'll be interesting to ride along with a few different cars today. One of those being Brian Silas. He'll start 35th on the field today.
Matt Carter is also going to have it on board. He has the Stein Seed New South Lemonade Ford out of Larry Clement's stables. Matt's going to start in the 15th spot in that 46 car.
And 9-time ARCA champion Frank Kimmel will also carry a camera for us in his Ford. He will be starting in the 33rd spot, so we'll be able to see how the veteran does here at Talladega. Let's head back trackside to Ray Dunlap.
Well, thank you, Rick. You know, when we start talking about drivers that might have a shot at winning today, you got to put Joey Logano on that list. Of course, he won in his first ever start at Rockingham. And he's one of 3 drivers today driving for Venturini Motorsports. And Bill and Kathy Venturini have been around this series for a long, long time. This team has 15 wins, but they have 3 opportunities of winning today because they also have Mark Davis in the number 8 car today, and Brian Scott will be driving for this team also. So those 3 drivers start in the middle of the pack, but I think they'll work together. And I think there's a good shot that you'll see win number 16 today for Venturini Motorsports. What do you think about that, Wendy?
Well, I think that would be good, but I want to talk about Justin Allgaier. He moved from 5th in the points up to 3rd with his win at New Jersey. Now, this kid has won at every type of racetrack. He's won at a short track, a dirt track, a road course. Now, he's been winless at a super speedway, though. When we were at Daytona earlier this season, he finished 2nd, so we know he's good at these super speedways. He just needs to wrap up a win. He's in a Dodge car, and he does have a Penske engine under that hood. Of course, Justin Allgaier would like to get a win before he heads over the NASCAR Nationwide Series for Penske Racing come next season. Now, of course, he's won at a speedway. We just need to get the super speedway category under his belt.
Justin Allgaier looking for maybe a drafting win now. And it would be a big win at that. He has had quite the season, as you mentioned earlier, Ken. He's been called up to the big leagues, I guess you would say. Yeah,
and a very, very deserving driver, too. He's done an excellent job. A family-owned operation. His mom and dad, Mike and Dorothy Allgaier, they've put a lot of work into that.
You know, you told me a long time ago that Justin Allgaier was one of the guys to watch, and I bet you that was 3 or 4 years ago. But when he maybe had just made a handful of ARCA starts.
Yeah, he's just done a real good job. I know what kind of equipment he's had. His equipment was pretty rough at the start because it was some of our old stuff. You know, we run it a long time, but his equipment's got better, and he'll go a long ways in this sport.
Want to take a look at this racetrack? 94 laps, 250 miles. The pit window anywhere from 50 to 55 laps.
Which means that they could make this race on one pit stop if the cautions were to fall right. Some of the guys are talking about making one. Some of the other guys are talking about, no way, we're going to try to make it on one. We don't want to get caught in case they have a long green flag run. Right. And have to stop under green for fuel.
Guys like Ricky Stenhouse Jr., guys like Scott Speed, they don't want to chance it.
I only see that one stop going if it ran green up until that time.
Yeah, that's probably not going to happen.
Well, traditionally, we would think it's not going to happen.
Tradition. That might be the word of the day here at Talladega Superspeedway. We'll see how it works out. James Buescher again will bring the field to the green flag. Now this is a little bit of an unconventional racetrack in the fact that the start-finish line is past the tri-oval. It's actually between the middle of the tri-oval and turn number 1. You see all the fans on their feet waving to the cars as they get ready to take on this Superspeedway, Talladega Superspeedway. And the green flag is in the air.
Been a lot of people think they had races won in the middle of the front straightaway and wound up didn't.
Oh, something happened to James Buescher on the very start, our pole sitter.
James Buescher goes down below the yellow line. He lets the field by him. Obviously an issue with that race car. And that will put Tom Hessert III out in front of the line on the bottom of the racetrack.
He's obviously still running, Kenny. Not quite up to speed yet, though.
Would almost make you think second gear wasn't there or something. Well, it might be more than that, Phil. But it's getting better, it looks like.
2, 3, and 4 wide back behind this front string of cars.
Tom Hessert, meanwhile, has inherited the lead, and what a great qualifying effort he had on the outside of the front row. There's some of that speedy drive, Kenny, you were talking about from that multi-car incident in Sprint Cup practice.
Well, and a good job by the 32 car James there, getting out of the way, knowing he had a problem. That boy, if one car has a problem, that's the car you don't want to have a problem.
The nice thing about this racetrack is we saw him down below the yellow line on the apron. You can maintain a pretty good speed down there because that bottom lane of that racetrack below the yellow line is banked pretty well.
Got some bank to it.
Brian Silas with a pretty good view of the field in front of him, currently running 35th or 31st.
Yeah, that's Frank Kimmel right in front of him, our 9-time champion. Jeremy Clements, the 3 car, was outside of Frank. There goes Jeremy on the outside. He always runs well when he runs these ARCA Re races. Doesn't run a full schedule, but when he comes to run, he runs well.
Now out in front of the field, it is Tom Hessert III. James Buescher dropped all the way back to 19th when he went across the start-finish line. Ray Dunlap, what are we hearing from our former champion?
Well, Frank Kimmel told me before the race started, Rick, that he is going to have to be right in the middle of a draft. He said there's no way that his car is good enough to lead, and if no one's up tight behind him, he's not going to be very good either. So he's hoping he can stay right in the middle of a pack. They just have not been able to get their arms around what's wrong with that 44 car, and they're not exactly sure what to do about it during the race either. He said pretty much when you come to Talladega, you've got what you've got, but he's hoping to be able in the middle of a mix. Down to Jim Trado.
And Ray, James Buescher did not want to be in the middle. He wanted to be leading this race, but coming to the green, he lost second gear. Didn't say a whole lot until he was into turn 3. They said, what do you have? He said, guys, you lost second gear.
Yeah, that's exactly what you speculated, Kenny, and that will continue to plague him for the rest of this race.
That's going to be a problem he has every restart. And coming out of the pits.
Yeah, coming out of the pits, and if he has a green flag pit stop, that is really going to hurt him.
Yeah.
See Joey Logano dip below that yellow line, and the rule is you cannot advance your position below the yellow line. You can dip down there as long as you don't advance your position. We're hearing that Brian Silas, you see him right now coming towards pit road, hearing he has a flat tire. You can actually hear it. See the smoke from the left side of that car. Left rear tire is flat on that number 11 Nortrex Ford.
That's flat enough that we could. He's going to be any debris now would be on pit road.
Here's that 3 wide stuff we were looking for, Kenny.
Oh yeah, we're going to have it, and we're going to have it all day.
Patrick Shelter, the 60 car, ran in the back of Eddie Mercer for a second. The Mikusuki Chevrolet and made a little contact and got Eddie a little bit squirrely.
And this is the big variable. I think you've got guys running 2 and 3 wide in this draft that have never been in a situation like this where there's 43 cars running together in a pack.
And Kenny, there's nothing like it, is there?
Oh my gosh. You know, I've had a lot of people ask me about somebody going there for the first time, and they say, is he ready? I said, heck no, he's not ready. But I don't care what you run. You're not ready when you come here the first time because you're going to experience something that you haven't been around anywhere.
And some of the guys that are here more than one time, Kenny, they're not ready either.
No. No.
And so Tom Hessert III has continued to lead ever since James Busher fell off the pace when he didn't have second gear. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Scott Speed running 2 and 3, and that has been what Scott Speed wants to do. He wants to see that 99 at all times. Welcome back, nose to tail, upwards of 190 miles an hour around Talladega Super Speedway. Tom Hessert III out in front. Ricky Stenhouse now makes the move, and he'll pull some people with him.
That's actually the 11 of Brian Silas. Remember, he had that flat tire, came out of the pits. The top 14 cars right now running single file, and then business picks up there right behind them.
I like being in the single file part, not where that business picks up part.
Eddie Mercer now has left that group and trying to chase down that lead pack of 14 cars. But here's where it gets interesting back here, 2 and 3 wide. See Patrick Shelter, the 60 car, right in the middle right there.
This racetrack looks huge. I mean, we've got them 3 wide, and there's gaps in between the 3 wide.
Oh yeah, 5 wide. You know, you can be in a 5 wide situation here easy enough. Hopefully you get out of it easy enough. But yeah, there's a lot of room for error here. But once you get turned around here, you need a lot of room.
See Bobby Gerhardt losing the tail end of that lead draft. He may eventually bring that second pack up to that lead pack.
Guys like Brian Scott, Joey Logano right in the middle of this lead pack, running 8th and 9th. Landon Castle, another one of those young drivers, up there in 7th. Ricky Carmichael, we talked about him earlier. He's running 4th right now.
He got in line and has stayed right there, protected the bottom, and done a very good job.
Wendy, what's the word on that 11?
Yeah, Brian Silas has a pretty long day ahead of him. He started 35th. Now, he is one of our ARCA regulars, but it looks like he has run over a piece of debris. By the way, the damage is on this left rear tire. This bead goes all the way around. You can see he must have run over something, but extreme damage on that car. They were able to get the tires changed, get back out there, and we'll continue on this race, but we'll watch Brian Silas. But in the meantime, we got a lot of racing going on up front.
Yeah, they're starting to spread out a bit now.
Yeah, that's Landon Castle on the outside. Looks like he has Joey Logano with him.
They look to be falling back now as those 2 cars have jumped out of line.
Everybody hugging that yellow line, but what a great job that Tom Hessert III is doing. This is the Andy Belmont Ford right here. Andy had a great run last year with Dominic Casola. I think he finished in the top 5. It was Dominic's best finish of the season. They brought a great car back here.
Well, that team has a lot of great cars. They've really stepped up their program last couple years.
Now we've got a definite 3 lanes here. You see Landon Castle, Bobby Gerhardt out on the outside leading that pack. Joey Logano in the middle in that green car.
Starting to get some different lines. We'll see if that middle line is actually going to go. It looks like it's moving.
It'll move for a while and then it'll stall out. You're not gonna outrun all those cars that are lined up on the bottom unless you've got a couple really rockets there.
The bottom is definitely the short way around this racetrack, and you know they run a little bit different groove than we used to here, Kenny. Used to you would use the whole racetrack. Now
problem right there.
Brian
the 25
Scott.
of Brian Scott looked as though he blew a tire. And as soon as that happened, the field has to spread behind him. Brian Silas involved in this. That's his Rotella T number 11.
Yeah, a lot of cars involved. There's Allie Owens. That 12 cars involved. There's Landon Castles, 88. Mark Davis, the 8. Both involved in this incident. There's Ken Butler, the 3rd, right there. A lot of damage to that Aaron's Dream machine.
Well, but we see him getting ready to get out, so that's what we want to see.
Yeah, good stuff.
Boy, you know, you hate to see the big wreck, and you sure hate to see it when it was a mechanical something. You know, I mean, a piece of debris, all of a sudden a tire gets cut, and everybody's wrecking.
Yeah, Ken Butler jumping out of that car, had a little bit of flame there. You see him shaking his hands.
Yeah, he took his gloves off. I don't know if I would have been pulling my gloves off until I got out of that vehicle.
Well, he was probably took his gloves off to help himself get out.
Okay.
You kind of know where the flames are.
There's Brian Silas, the Shell Rotella T car. He was involved. He had a flat tire earlier, came back out on the racetrack, and then was running with that lead pack, trying to be in a position to get the Aaron's lucky dog if the caution were to come out. And unfortunately, he was involved in this huge accident.
Involved in the wrong pack at the wrong time. Let's take another look.
Brian Scott, that white car, about 6/7 back. He blows a rear tire, goes up the racetrack, catches Ken Butler, makes hard contact. Brian Silas makes hard contact. The 4 of Taylor Malsom also involved. That red and white car down on the bottom of the racetrack. A.J. Hendrickson, the 7, involved. Mark Davis, the 8. There's another view. Watch the white car left of your screen.
All of a sudden.
That's right in front of Justin Allgaier.
Just
barely got by, as well as Joey Logano. Ken Butler nowhere to go. Eddie Mercer drives to the bottom of the racetrack. Brian Silas, Taylor Malsom makes some contact. Michael Phelps in the 45 was involved.
Tell you what I really want to do. I want to give an attaboy to a bunch of the guys that were behind the wreck. A lot of them never had a chance of missing it.
Yeah,
a lot of them checked up and didn't drive in there. I mean, they really did a good job.
Yep.
Yeah, all these guys really had nowhere to go. No reaction time, anything when that tire went down. See the fire there on Ken Butler's car, Aaron's Dream Machine. A lot of damage to that car.
Here's another glance. Again, it's the white, the 25.
Yeah, the right rear tire goes. Justin Allgaier just barely gets by. Joey Logano barely gets by. Hard contact with a lot of these cars.
Right along. This is Brian Silas.
Ooh, there's the contact with Taylor Malsom, then hard contact with the outside wall.
Now, we heard Brian Silas get out of the gas. He knew something was happening in front of him. And then some guys behind him didn't get out of the gas, thinking they could probably drive through it.
There's Matt Carter. This is going to be a good look. And you see Matt already off, slowing down on the brakes. You see the 90.
Yep. That was Gabby DiCarlo.
Gabby DiCarlo makes contact with another. You see all the debris on the racetrack. Matt just slowing down, picking his way through the debris as best he can in the cars, and no damage to that 46 car. Good heads-up driving, like you said, Kenny.
Right, and it's just a matter of who's behind you and how close they are, because when you just check up here, there's good. If you just check up instantly, there's a good chance you're going to get punted. I mean, you know, you got to have time to get your arm up, and hopefully their spotters are on top of it, and they're driving far enough ahead that they also see the activity up there. You got to look way up there, because at 200 mile an hour, we're traveling a football field a second.
Right.
So, you know, when you get there, the wreck's still
you get there quick.
You get there wrecked.
Justin Allgaier on pit road now. Got the hood up on that race car.
Looks like he might have caught a little debris in the front of that car, Kenny. I don't see the debris there in the very front.
That would have probably had to have been from the actual carcass coming. See the rubber on the hood?
Yeah.
So that would have been from the carcass coming off.
They're going to put him back out on the racetrack quick and probably bring him back down and put some Varabon on there. Let's go back down pit road to Wendy Venerini.
The 16 of Justin Allgaier, of course, a points racer in this event, and he does have a hole in that radiator. They are trying to keep him on the lead lap, though, so they came down pit road, added some water, and Jim Pullman sent them back out. They might have to come back down pit road if you see them again, but they are going to remain on the lead lap, or try and do so, to get as many points as possible and not lose much ground.
This would be a big hit if Justin has to change his radiator.
Yeah.
Great battle for third in the points.
That's for sure. Anytime you have to go behind the wall. Of course, there's going to be a lot of cars. I don't know which ones will be behind the wall that he was already racing.
There's a list of the cars involved in the crash.
I think probably some more cars than that.
That's the
got
short
a piece
list.
of it. Yeah, that's the short list. And unfortunately, the list is a little bit longer than that.
Yeah.
Ray, what's going on with Joey?
Logano just came down pit road in that Interstate Batteries car. They wanted to pull a little bit of tape off of the front grille. He said it was just a little bit overheating, and they're cautious because they want to be able to run the whole race here. So pulled one strip off of the entire front on the lower edge of the grille.
Remember, it was his teammate, the 25 of Brian Scott, that the right rear tire shredded. Almost an explosion there, and he was right in line, and so everyone behind him had to check up and get out of the way, and some weren't so fortunate. We'll be back with more of the ARCA Remax 250 right after this. Thursday on an all-new Wrecked, it's back to school for Bill and the O'Hare Towing Crews. But in this class, the assignments are never easy and always dangerous. So hook up to an all-new episode of Wrecked Life in the Crash Lane, Thursday, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. Cleanup continuing here at Talladega Super Speedway. It was triggered by a blown right rear tire on the number 25 of Brian Scott. Let's look back.
Brian's going to be in that white car right there. Right rear tire goes. Absolutely nowhere to go for all these cars here. A lot of guys did a nice job avoiding this, but for the unfortunate several that were caught up in it, a tough break this early.
That's the 22 of Ken Butler, third, and he gets caught up, and the flames coming out of that. Another look at this.
Yeah, amazing.
There's nowhere to go.
Yeah, amazing. Justin Allgaier just barely getting by, as well as Joey Logano. And
we know Justin Allgaier has damage to the front of his race car. He is right behind that 25, and as soon as the tire shreds, it hits the front end of his car and does damage to the front.
He does a nice job. As soon as that happened, he turned his car to the right, just enough room to get by Brian, because he knew that Brian was coming up the hill.
Right.
You spin here at Talladega, you're going up the bank towards the outside wall. Justin knew that, and his quick reaction allowed him to miss that. Brian Silas got touched by Eddie Mercer, but that didn't turn him around. Then he made some contact with Taylor Malsom.
Yeah, the little. Sometimes you get run into square in the back, and it doesn't mess you up. Wound up getting messed up anyway, but it wasn't because Eddie hit me.
So a lot of cars messed up as a part, or as a result of what just took place. Again, there's the 11 of Brian Silas.
Well, he had a tire problem at the start of the race that put him 2 laps down, and then someone else's tire problem. Just had a very tiring day.
It was a tiring day for Brian Silas. But it's over now, so he'll have to watch this one from either pit road or the grandstands. Out in front of the field, it's still Tom Hessert III. After James Buescher had problems with second gear at the start of this race, Tom Hessert III took the lead and has never relinquished it.
We've had 3 cars that have been busted for speeding on pit road, exiting pit road, the 18, the 48, and the 51, Eddie Mercer and the 51. Unfortunately, they will have to go to the back of the longest line, which is basically going to be the lead lap line for our restart.
Seen a lot of cars stay out on the racetrack. It is early in this one. We've only completed 17 of the 94 laps. Welcome back. The jet dryers now on the racetrack, blowing off some of the debris and some of the speedy dry that they have put down after the big one happened on lap 12 of this race. For more on what has taken place, let's go back to pit road and Wendy Benarini.
Well, Justin Allgaier, who's third in points coming into this event, has been on pit road 4 or 5 times. He's about to come back down for a 6th time, and he does have a hole in the radiator with a small leak. Now they put some stop leak in there. They keep adding some water. Jim Poland keeps reminding the crew, nice smooth movements, trying to take advantage of this long caution that we have. They will come down this next time around, make some final adjustments to that radiator, try and get some more stop leak and some more water in there, and hopefully salvage this race and be able to finish on the lead lap. Ray?
Oh, Wendy, I want to talk a little bit about Chrissy Wallace. She came in here with her dad Mike's entire Nationwide Series team. Bruce Cook is calling the shots for her tonight on the box, and her dad Mike up top spotting, and he told her on the radio, did a really good job. You almost missed the entire thing, but she got a little bit of damage on the left rear of that number 18 car, so they came in. She's had 2 pit stops to try to repair that damage and make sure the spoiler's in good shape. They're telling her the car is good to go. She'll restart 28th. Jim?
And Ray, Bobby Gerhart started 4th, where you would expect him on a super speedway in ARCA Re Series competition, but he was losing ground, and actually was mid-pack, and the team decided to bring him down pit road. They determined that the air box in the front of the car was losing air. It was not sealed around the radiator, so they thought maybe that was the issue. So they came down, changed left side tires the first time down, took a look at the air box and topped him off on fuel again. His crew chief and brother, Billy Gerhart, said maybe just one more stop for rights and we're good to go. Let's go back to Wendy.
And the 51 is back down pit road again. They too had damage from that earlier wreck, and several times they've come down pit road. Lap 14 was one of the first times they took 4 tires fuel, and now they just continue to make adjustments on the car, pull the fenders away and fix the damage that they have on the 51. A lot of guys just trying to salvage their race cars and get back out there and track some laps.
So again, a tire blowing up on the 25 of Brian Scott is what started this mess.
Let's take another look at Brian Scott's tire going down left of your screen. You see the tire go down, slides up the racetrack, catches Ken Butler, the 3rd. A lot of other cars involved in this incident with absolutely nowhere to go.
And it wasn't so long ago. As a matter of fact, within the hour just before this, there was a Sprint Cup practice that was taking place on the racetrack, and a similar situation happened. You saw it here on Speed. It was Dale Earnhardt Jr. who had a right rear tire blowout, and similar circumstances to the cars behind him.
Here we
look at that.
See David Gilliland, the 38 involved. Casey Kane had to go to a backup car right there. Casey just got a piece of that with the right front corner. They were going to go to a backup car, but absolutely no warning, and a bad day for Junior. Watch this now from this onboard camera. You heard that, and that was from a different onboard camera that you heard that tire explode. There's Dale Jr.'s Mountain Dew number 88 right there.
the ARCA series with the Hoosier tires or the Nextel Cup series with the Goodyear tires, they're all built out of rubber.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, just like, you know, going down the interstate, you can puncture them.
You're actually in the Sprint Cup series now, Kenny. Nextel was before.
Yeah, Sprint Cup. I didn't say Winston Cup, so I thought I was doing real good. I haven't been here all year, Phil.
One more time around, and we're going to see the green flag to get back underway. We've completed 22 of the 94 laps. We talked a little bit about Junior's incident. He's had a tough weekend already. Now, Trackside Live, you can hear from Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Jeff Gordon. They will be the guests, and that will come up after this ARCA race this evening. Dale Jr. had an engine go earlier this weekend. Now the tire going, so they're in a backup car with a backup motor. And I'm sure they'll have all that whole story on Trackside Live this evening.
Dale Jr. and Brian Silas need to go bond after this.
Ray Dunlap.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the leader, Tom Hessert. He is talking to his crew chief, Dave Liner, on the radio and said, give me an idea what our new plan is. See, with all of these caution laps, it's actually extended the window of what you could do on pit road. And what Dave told him, he said, we'd like to come to pit road somewhere after lap 50, but we can go from 50 to 60. Now, obviously, they're not going to do that under green, but if we get a yellow in that area, that's where they feel comfortable that they'd be able to put right side tires on that #1 car and make it the distance the rest of the race. Jim?
And Ray, they've communicated, has race leader Tom Hessert's team with Ricky Stenhouse sitting second in another Ford Hessert has asked and the team has asked, when we pit, can you come with us? We want to pit together if possible. If it plays out that way, the two leaders now playing together for what could be a pit stop together.
And they would dearly love for that pit stop to come under caution. They really don't want to have to stay out on this racetrack because we have some cars that just now pitted on lap 21 or 22. That means they can go 20 laps farther than these guys can when they start coming down pit road. So there's a huge window, Kenny, where they're very vulnerable, the guys that have not been to pit road yet.
They'd love to see about 25 more laps on the yellow flag.
We've got to pay attention to the 32 of James Buescher on this restart. He's actually scored back in 6th. We don't believe he has second gear. Green flag back in the air. We're back underway. James Buescher's going to go to the inside.
That's a good veteran move from a guy that's the first time running a super speedway. He moved over. He knew he had a problem. If he stayed on the outside line, not only was he going to mess everyone else up, he could have caused another incident. Good move by James Buescher.
Tom Hesser, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Scott Speed, Ricky Carmichael, Justin Marks. They're your top 5, and they've broken away now from the field, but wait a few seconds and the field will catch them.
Yeah, it looked like that time they were a little more spread out on the start, so we might get a couple packs here. We'll just have to see what happens. But if they stay in line, that second pack will run down that first pack.
Here's your lead pack, 5 cars running nose to tail, then the next 4 cars.
Boy, Ricky Carmichael has done a nice job so far. Right now he currently resides in the 4th spot. See him right. This is actually a battle. There's James Buescher, the 32 on the outside of the 46 of Matt Carter. There's a Team Glock, number 37 of Dexter Bean, along with Jeremy Clements. That's mid-pack. But Ricky Carmichael's been in that lead draft, Kenny, since the drop of the green flag. There he is right there, right behind Scott Speed, right in front behind Justin Marks, doing a great job right down there, Wendy.
Yeah, Ricky Carmichael in his first race for Kevin Harvick Incorporated. Now, Kevin Harvick said Ricky knows how to race. He just needs to gain some experience, get some laps, learn about drafting. And since this race has started, Ricky Carmichael has said, I'm not going to be a hero here. I'm just going to try and get some experience, stay in line until the end. He says the car sucks up a lot better than he thought it would. And man, they are just buying some time right now. Ricky Carmichael racing out there like a veteran in the ARCA Series. Ray?
Hey, Wendy, Scott Speed has a really good car. That's obvious, and we can see he's running in 3rd position on the racetrack right now. But they do have a small problem. All of the tear-offs have come off of his car, so there's a problem there that his windshield is beginning to get pitted and a little bit marked up. He said it's already hard to see out of. Now, this isn't a really long race, but that could be a problem later in the day here as the sun begins to go down. No tear-offs for Scott Speed. They're a little concerned about that for the end of the race.
I'd have to say he was lucky he wasn't racing 20 years ago, wasn't he, Phil?
Yeah.
When we had one glass windshield, that's all that you had.
Yeah, and it's amazing how much sandblaster the windshield would get here.
Oh, yeah.
And you get towards the end of the race, and then, you know, the sun starts setting. It was very, very difficult to see out of these things. We're a little bit spoiled now with these tear-offs.
So much nicer now.
Kimball showing us a shot back behind him. He's running 24th, and just behind him is that 24 of Mike Harmon.
Frank Kimball has had a lot of success. I
know what you're trying to say.
I don't have much success saying the word success, but he's had a tremendous amount of success at this racetrack. Really, in the entire ARCA Re Series, 9-time champion. They were talking this morning that they didn't really feel like the car was very, very fast. I said, well, you've got one of the best drivers, one of the most experienced drivers out here. Frank knows how to make his way to the front. Don't worry about a thing. And Frank's just hanging around right now. You see very, very calm inside the car right there in a good spot. He's going to be just fine.
We're talking different ends of the spectrum there with Frank and then Chrissy Wallace behind him as far as experience. Chrissy's done an excellent job in the races she's been in and, you know, run some truck races and that. But this is the first super speedway race.
Ray Dunlap.
Let me add to Kimball's story just a little bit, guys. You know, what an effort it's been for this team to make it to all these races this year. And, of course, Toledo, the final event on the schedule. But I talked with Frank Kimball earlier today and asked him if he knew anything more about the big picture for next year. And he said there's 3 or 4 different companies that have been talking to him about a sponsorship package. But as of right now, he's got nothing signed. And he said if that doesn't materialize in the next month or 2, then very likely they will turn this team into a driver development deal with one of the Cup teams possibly, because he said he's in a position where they cannot run an entire season next year the way they did it piecemeal week to week in 2008.
Well, Ray, we got a glimpse through the windshield of that 44 Frank Kimmel how bad the sun was already over there, and if Scott Speed's windshield is already sandblasted, and again he's running third right now, so you know that windshield's continuing to get sandblasted. He may have a problem here unless the sun goes down far enough. If the sun goes down, Kenny, he's probably going to be okay.
If it gets down far enough, but it's going to get worse before it gets better.
There you see the lead pack has been caught by that second pack. It's still Tom Hessert the third, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Scott Speed, Ricky Carmichael, and Justin Marks, your top five. Action is slowed once again. Justin Marks in the 0-1 looks as though he may have blown a right front tire and got into the wall. And so the ARCA Remax 250 under caution for the second time today.
Yeah, pretty hard contact with that Toyota, the Construct Core Toyota. You see him right now. He's running in the 5th spot, just riding along here. You can see the thing turn hard right when that right front tire went down,
yeah.
Kenny.
When it drops down like that, it's the most sickening feeling, because there's absolutely nothing you can do as a driver except brace up, and then knowing that when it does hit, you got to work on keeping it up against the outside wall so you don't come back across the track into traffic.
You could see the debris on the windshield of the 46 of Matt Carter. And it, you know, when that tire goes down, that thing drops over, and you saw it took maybe a split second as we got leaders on pit road. Wendy.
Yeah, coming to pit road first will be Ricky Carmichael. They're going to take 4 tires fuel and just grab that tear off. No adjustments from what we had heard, but Ricky had picked up a slight vibration right before that caution, so we are going to keep an eye. Let's hope that that was the tires, and these 4 fresh tires will be good for Ricky Carmichael. Let's head over to Ray.
Godspeed on his way down pit road. He's also going to get pit stop right here, actually pulling away already. Good pit stop for the Red Bull crew. That
You know, we heard Tom Hessert III try to make a deal with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. as far as when you come down, we want, you know, to keep drafting partners together. Tom Hessert III stayed on the racetrack.
Yeah, with 31 laps completed, I'm not sure I quite understand that. I'm not. That's a long way into a run.
You know, they may be on a 1 pit stop strategy, and they feel as though they're going to get another caution when they need to make their pit stop a little bit after halfway. But I don't think I could have turned that down, that opportunity to get on pit road under caution here. We know we're over, or at least halfway into the run, Kenny.
Yeah, over halfway. So, and especially with the fuel they went. So, I mean, the yellows that we ran. So I don't know. I kind of question it. But, you know, sometimes it's the move that you don't think it's going to work that winds up getting you up front at the end of these races.
You know, we used to doubt Richie Waters a lot, you know, Kyle Busch's crew chief in the truck series, and just about every time we said he was making a mistake, he ended up winning the race. So we stopped doing that, certainly with Richie. There's our Aaron's lucky dog right there, the 06. Tim Mitchell will get a lap back. He will be back on the lead lap, and that will give us 29 cars right now on the lead lap.
So 29 on the lead lap. That means 29 in the lead pack when we get the green to come back out. Tom Hessert continues to lead at Talladega. Welcome back. ARCA Remax 250 still under caution. They're just getting that 0-1 of Justin Marks up on the tow truck. And they'll take that back behind the wall. A short night for Justin Marks. Let's head back to pit road and Ray Dunlap.
Well, thank you, Rick. I've caught my breath here. I was a little out of position there. The 2 was not planning on coming in. They said, we're not pitting on the radio. Then all of a sudden, Patrick Donahue made the decision. After seeing Justin Marks hit the wall, he said, let's put right side tires on this thing and be careful, be extra safe right now. So I was running down pit road. Wasn't actually in position to see that call, but they did put right sides only for the number 2 for Scott Speed. Jim?
And it was a late call as well for Ricky Stenhouse to come down pit road. It was a matter of if Tom Hessert came or not. They decided to come anyway. They came down, only took on fuel, and a man who climbed on top of the pit box about 5 laps before the caution came out, Ricky Stenhouse's short track owner, Tony Stewart. Stewart, under this caution, has gone through some fuel-saving techniques. Keep it in higher gear. Only pop the gas when you have to under caution. And on your pit stalls, make sure you come in and hit that sign. He's coaching his young driver here. Even if it's a Roush Fenway driver, Tony Stewart wants Ricky Stenhouse Jr. to succeed, and he's on their box right now.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. drove the USAC car for, well, Carl Edwards and then Tony Stewart.
What a fine young man, too. No, he had a horrendous wreck, Kenny. At Eldora just a couple weeks ago, got end over end up on top of the wall in the catch fence, and really looked like he was beat up, but he's come back strong here.
I didn't see the wreck, but I heard it was one of those big ones. Big. Yeah, so it's good to have him here.
Speaking of wrecks, let's take another look at what has taken place at this racetrack. That's 0-1, losing the right front tire and hard right turn and into the wall. Speed's coverage of the ARCA Re Series from Talladega is brought to you in part by Aaron's. Everyone is a lucky dog at Aaron's. By Great Clips. Walk right in, sit right down. And by Touch of Gray. New Touch of Gray lets you keep some gray hair. Touch of Gray, the generation that swore it would never get old. They're being told, well, we're going to go at least one more time around before we see the green. Lights still on that pace car, so shadows getting a little bit longer here. There aren't lights at Talladega Super Speedway, so we're hearing Logano has come back down. There we see him on pit road. So the 15 has made another stop. Ray Dunlap.
Just to pull the tear off the windshield. That's all they did there. But Joey had said on the radio, I can hardly see as we go down the backstretch and enter turn number 3. So they pulled the tear off there. So as you guys were saying, number of drivers not being able to see very well, and that could be a big problem for Scott Speed.
You know, guys, I was looking at one of the NASCAR Craftsman trucks that we'll have here live on Speed tomorrow, and he had just run a little bit and not that much in traffic. His tear-offs blew off as well. And you wouldn't believe how bad that windshield had already been sandblasted, Kenny.
Yeah, it's just all the little stuff from the racetrack and the speedy dry and all that from when they have to put it down. But you know, that stuff, you're running 200 mile an hour through the air and that comes off their tire, it leaves a mark.
And again, it's not glass anymore.
No, it's Lexan.
It's Lexan. It's a different compound.
Yeah, it's just a lot tougher than glass.
But it's
more durable.
But it still will sandblast just like a regular glass windshield will.
Wendy Venerini.
And John West Townley's up to second. If you're wondering how that happened, he started 16th. Now, he had stayed out when everyone came down pit road, but it wasn't on purpose. He missed pit road and therefore missed his chance of coming down pit road. Now, they haven't come back down pit road, so I'm thinking it might have been their strategy. They're very happy with their race car. John West Townley, of course, had an 11th place finish in Daytona earlier in this season, so he knows how to get around these super speedways, hoping to get a top 10, if not a win today, right?
And Phil, you guys were in the booth talking a little bit about wondering on the strategy of the number 1. Why didn't they pit that last time? Well, Dave Liner just said on the radio, there is no way that we can make the distance of this race until we get to lap 40. He said, I had that circled on my information down here, so I had no intentions of pitting before 40, but right after we get past lap 40, we can pit the very next time and be good to go on just one stop.
I think the big question is, can they get to 60?
Right.
Because if they've got to go, you know, right now we've already completed 36 of the 94 laps, but what if we've got a really long green flag run?
They'll be coming down pit road under the green.
Yeah.
If we and the less cars that are out there, the more chances that you're going to have long green runs.
Yeah, we know guys right now can run, you know, at least to probably lap 85 comfortably on fuel, so that's a long time for from 60 to 85, whatever, to be vulnerable. But here's a guy right here that has been very impressive. He ran his first ever stock car race here 1 year ago, qualified 7th, finished 7th for Eddie Sharp Racing in Red Bull, and he's got a bright future. Last week at Lowe's Motor Speedway, got his first legitimate test in a Sprint Cup car, and see Mike Skinner, who's a teammate, running the 84 car. Scott was driving the 82 Red Bull third Red Bull car here, and hopefully if everything goes well here tomorrow for the 84 car, or Sunday for the 84 car, then Scott will make his Sprint Cup debut at Lowe's Motor Speedway next week in that number 82 Red Bull car. And they've also announced that he's going to jump in that 84, Kenny, for what, 6 of the last 7 races, or 5 of the last 6 races after he runs that 82 car.
They're definitely grooming him for next season.
And he's doing a fine job in this series, the ARCA Remax Series point leader. He's got a 50-point lead over Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Welcome back. Here comes the field through the trioval. The green flag about to go back in the air. We've had 2 cautions. Tom Hessert III has stayed on the racetrack and has led every lap of this race. Green back in the air. We're on lap 39.
And now I think it's a time for Andy Belmont's guys to really hold their breath. They want to get to lap 40, then they feel like they would be able to stop and make it the rest of the way. Need to run a couple laps, and they need to catch a caution flag before they have to make that green flag pit stop. I think we have some guys that may even attempt to go the rest of the way from here. We had 5 cars come down pit road to top off that time. They may be looking at not stopping anymore.
And one of those was a little bit of a super speedway expert.
You mean that Bobby Gerhart, number 5?
Bobby Gerhart brought his number 5 onto pit road and topped off with fuel. Now we see him working around the slower lap car, the 48 of Ben Stansel.
There's Bobby Gerhart following the 16 of Justin Allgaier.
Again, Allgaier, the story from pit road is that they have a hole in the radiator. Now they've been trying to fix that. We'll see if that is going to hold out for the remainder of this race.
On the 16 of Allgaier.
Yep. Bobby Gerhart continues to follow him. Jim.
And Bobby Gerhart did come down pit road to top off. I just checked with his brother Billy. I said, after you took the 4, how much fuel did he get in? And he said, I think we have enough. We may not have to stop. He said, I think we're pretty comfortable here. We can go the rest of the way.
Yeah, that is huge. There's 3 wide. Look at this 33 of Ricky Carmichael on the inside. There's Eddie Mercer right there, the Miccosukee Chevrolet. That's Matt Carter's onboard right there, the Stein seat onboard. There's Frank Kimmel, the 44 on the inside. The 72 of John Jackson now on the inside of the 51 of Eddie Mercer. 3 wide right through the trioval. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. now, he was on the outside following Matt Carter. Now he jumps all the way to the inside.
Riding along with Frank Kimmel, looking back. There's Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the 99.
Scott Speed, our point leader, right behind Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Just keeping them in sight.
We think that's what Eddie Sharp told him before the race. Keep that 99 in sight. Let's get to Toledo and let's win this championship.
Well, he's done a good job of that. I don't think they've ever been separated by a car, have they?
No, they have been nose to tail. This race up to this point, we've completed at 40 laps. Matt Carter currently running 11. You see Justin Allgaier off to his back. Eddie Mercer there in the 51 going through the middle.
See a little bit of damage on that 51 car for Eddie Mercer. Got that earlier incident when Brian Scott blew that tire out.
If they were thinking 50 to 55 laps, Phil, and you said some of them might be able to go farther, then we run all those yellows. What do you think is the maximum number of laps for the number 1 car?
I think maybe 60, 62, something like that. So I think he's definitely within about 20 laps, Kenny, of making a pit stop.
Right.
Hey, Ray Dunlap, you've got a guy down there that I'm sure doesn't want to be talking to you right now.
Yeah, he didn't want to make a pit stop in the garage. That's James Boucher. And great run. You got the pole today. Fantastic car, but it didn't last very long. What happened?
Well, going to take the green flag for the initial start, went from 2nd to 3rd gear and lost 3rd gear and lost a bunch of spots. And next caution was trying to figure out what gears we had. All we had was 4th gear, so we knew whenever we came to pit, we were going to be in a lot of trouble to get off pit road, and we ended up burning the clutch up on pit road. So it's just really unfortunate. We know we had a really fast car. We're really fast leading in the draft yesterday in practice, and I don't know. It's a shame we didn't get to get out front and lead and go for the win.
All right. Sorry to see you in the garage. James Boucher done for the day.
You know, we're just about to have about every car on the racetrack. You see Ricky Stenhouse Jr. go to the outside. It looked like the 30 of Terry Jones might have got a little bit of a nudge from the 15 of Joey Logano, but we're just about to have every car on the racetrack just about in this lead draft.
Yeah, it's it's going to get stressful here in a minute.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. checked up and went out into the second lane, and we haven't seen the two follow him. So right now it looks like Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is on his own out there until that second pack might be able to catch him up there in the second lane.
I don't know if he just drove up there or if he got knocked up there.
Maybe a little help, but it was the two that was behind him, so it would have had to been the two that would have moved him up. And now we see Scott Speed making the move, trying to go by Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
Our championship battle right there, the two of Scott Speed, the 99 of Ricky Stenhouse. Terry Jones is going to follow the two of Scott Speed. Joey Logano, the 15. Matt Carter, the 46, is behind Joey Logano. Now Ricky Stenhouse has a little help on the outside. Jeremy Clements, the 3 cars behind him. Justin Allgaier, Bobby Gerhart, the Lucas Oil, number 5. Got a little help on the outside, Kenny.
Those are, and he's got good help there. Those are good cars and some experienced drivers lined up behind him there to maybe make something happen.
Did you see Logano make the pass on the inside? Terry Jones?
Yeah, there's hardly any room to get by on the inside. Everybody's riding along against the yellow line, but somehow Joey Logano found a little bit of an opening and was able to get by that 30 of Terry Jones.
Now Joey Logano will tuck up behind the 2 of Scott Speed.
So far it doesn't look like the outside line is the place to be, Kenny. They're not really advancing very much.
No, it's well, you know, the problem I got is that it's all good cars on the inside lane too. So if there's more cars on the inside lane plus the shorter distance, it's going to be extremely hard.
We see Ricky Stenhouse Jr. up in the second line, and he's leading that pack. We got the 16 of Justin Allgaier back there, the 3rd car on the outside line. Jeremy Clements in the 3.
See Ricky still on the outside there.
Bill Baird there in 4th spot and Ricky Carmichael behind him. I believe they restarted like 12th and 13th or 13th, 14th right after this last yellow. And they just stayed in line, committed to one another, and they've worked themselves up to 4th and 5th.
Yeah, there were 9 cars that stayed on the racetrack, did not come down pit road.
Joey Logano actually went out into that second line now, so he moved out from behind the 2, tried to make the pass on Scott Speed, and now he's looking for help.
We're seeing some guys get hit at the end of the straightaway. Get hit, get like the bump draft kind of gone wrong. Get a good hit, and actually they have to wind up in the second lane. Seen that a couple times now. That works good for a while.
And it doesn't look as though anyone wants to jump in behind that 15 right now.
Yeah, you know, we talked about Joey Logano getting by the 30 of Terry Jones earlier. We talked about everyone running against the yellow line. There's Terry Jones right behind the 51 of Eddie Mercer, right on the bottom of the racetrack. When Joey Logano got by that car, watch this now. Watch right of your screen. Joey's on the inside there. He gets down on the bottom. Terry Jones forces him down below the yellow line. You're not supposed to pass and advance your position below the yellow line, but to me, Kenny, he was forced down there by the 30 of Terry Jones.
Yeah, you're also not supposed to force anybody down too, so that's a pretty big judgment call. I'm glad I don't have to make that call.
Yeah, I would call Joey Logano innocent right here. You see, he had to move down below that yellow line, or they would have made contact with Terry Jones. I'm not sure it shouldn't be a deal where the 30, in this instance, should be the one penalized for forcing him down below the yellow line.
So what we're hearing from ARCA is that he was forced down. Joey Logano was forced down below the yellow line, so they will not penalize him for making that pass.
Remember, guys, now we've completed 47. This will complete 48 laps now, and each one of these laps, Andy Belmont, who owns this #1 car, is going to be pulling more hair out because he desperately needs a caution flag now before they get to around lap number 60, I'm going to guess.
We've passed the halfway point of this race at Talladega. There are only a race and a half left. So we have the rest of this race in Toledo in the 2008 season. Scott Speed and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. coming into this race separated just by 60 points for the 2008 championship. Now the difference between the two as they're running on the track is 80 points. Scott Speed in front of Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
Well, that sure could change in an instant.
And we would guess that the guys that came on pit road the last time, they'll have to come again. We'll see them on pit road one more time in this race. Guys like Scott Speed, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. But right now, Tom Hessert III's wondering, can I stay out the rest of this race? Welcome back. A short day for the ARCA RE/MAX Series debut of Ricky Carmichael.
You can see all the damage to the right rear corner of that 33 car. Same thing that happened to Brian Scott earlier. Dale Jr. earlier just exploded. There's Kevin Harvick. He was on the backstretch watching over there. And
he was back there with all his friends, wasn't he?
Yeah. I'm going to tell him you said that, Kenny.
I'm sure he's pleased. Obviously, this is not the outcome he wanted, but he's got to be pleased with what he saw up to this point.
Ricky's goal today was to get approved by NASCAR to run a truck race at Daytona and to get some experience. I would have to give Ricky an A+ for the job that he did today.
You and I are going to prove him, right, Kenny?
Definitely.
So when they ask, it's been kid tested and Phil and Kenny approved. Take a look at what happened for the 33. The right rear tire is going to blow. He's running 6th right there.
Boy, Patrick Shelter did a great job avoiding him. A terrific job avoiding him. There's Terry Jones and Jeremy Clements making slight contact on the inside of the racetrack. There's Ricky Stenhouse. He's going to avoid. I'll tell you, Ricky did a great job. You see him. He's driving that thing the whole way. He's got the brakes locked up. Now he lets go of the brake so that thing straightens out. Really did exactly what you're supposed to do. Here's Matt Carter's on board. You see all the debris. I'm sorry, Frank Kimmel's on board. All the debris off of Ricky's car, and again keeps it out of the wall, keeps it from taking somebody else out of the racetrack. Nice job.
It's like a hand grenade when it goes off.
It's amazing.
I mean,
it's like a bomb.
Yes, it's huge.
Blowing out the entire right rear side of that race car, and now we would guess that Tom Hessert III has got to come on to pit road.
Huge break, though, for Tom Hessert. And it's going to be a break for those guys that topped off that may want to try to go the rest of the way, because these caution laps are going to give them just a little bit more insurance. So they may be in good shape, like a Bobby Gerhart may be in perfect shape here.
We would guess we're going to see the hard left turn by the 1. And onto pit road they are coming. The 09 is going to follow. Looks as though the 20 also making his way. Justin Lofton will follow them down onto pit road.
Yeah, Justin's 3rd place car right now. Great job of him thus far.
John West Townley comes to a stop. It's going to be 2 tires only for this guy because they want to try and keep that track position. This is the first time John West Townley's raced at Talladega. Of course, he tested here. This hopefully will give him some momentum as he runs the nationwide race next week. He runs away, almost stalls it, right?
Boudreaux's Butt Pace is the sponsor on this Ford Fusion. Andy Belmont owns the team, and they've got a problem on the right front. They were not able to get the tire off for some reason. It was hung up, or they didn't get the jack up high enough. The fender is too tight, and they could not get the front tire off of there. It's going to be right side tires only for the 1. Jim?
Bobby Gerhart is down and away, but he didn't go up, actually. He just came in for fuel. They got the windshield wiped off clean for Bobby Gerhart. They did admit to themselves we had a bad calculation on fuel mileage, but Bobby Gerhart came in 14th. He kind of drifted back to mid-pack again. No adjustments, just fuel on Bobby Gerhart, who I believe now is set for the rest of the way officially by his team.
So Bill Gerhart has said, okay, you're good this time for sure. We've completed 52 of the 94 laps, so 42 remain in this one.
Really, everybody should be good on fuel. Everyone that stopped this time should be good on fuel. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., the 99, did not come to pit road. Ricky pitted back on lap number 30, so I don't think 64 laps is an awfully long way, even though we've had some caution laps. Now, he was not one of the guys that topped off at the tail end of the most recent caution prior to this one, so they may be just figuring on making a 2-stop race.
We'll just have to see. I mean, you don't know with these things what everybody's thinking. We sure didn't know what the 1 car was thinking there for the longest time.
John Jackson actually in front of the field now in the 72, and it's Ricky Stenhouse Jr. that runs 2nd. 39, Mark Thompson Running third, the Aaron's lucky dog goes to Ben Stansel in the number 48. He will get a lap back.
It's one of the TRG cars. Has a teammate with Tim George Jr. Ben been running the Camping World East Series on occasion. You see he's got some damage to the right rear corner of that car. He was involved in an incident when Brian Scott blew out that right rear tire earlier.
It was early in the race in lap number 12. And so this was the third caution. As you see the damage to the right rear of that race car, they've already put a new right side tire on. Now that they're going to work their way back into the garage area. Safety crews are going to clean up the debris, and this is why there is all the debris on the racetrack. Sixth car back, the black number 33. There goes the right side tire. Sunday, it's your chance to give Jeff Gordon a piece of your mind. Four-time Cup champ Jeff Gordon joins Dave Despain on Wind Tunnel Set. Whether you agree, disagree, or just have an opinion, it's your turn to sound off on all the top stories in motorsports. Wind Tunnel with Dave Despain live Sunday 9 p.m. Eastern. Again, Jeff Gordon is going to be his guest.
Is there any form of motorsports that Dave Despain doesn't know something about?
Not that we know of.
I mean, we haven't found one yet.
Unbelievable wealth of knowledge.
I've seen lawnmower races, and I haven't heard him talk about that on Wind Tunnel, but I bet he would.
I bet he knows about it.
I bet he does. We want to look back at what has taken place up to this point. Obviously, we're past the halfway point. The start of the race, it was a difficult one for James Buescher. Now we found out third gear didn't work for him, and so you see him drop back rapidly. This is the start of the race. He stays on the inside of the racetrack and eventually loses the clutch.
Yeah, eventually knocks him out of the race. Here's one of the big wrecks early on, turn number 1. Brian Scott, that 25 car, blows out a right rear tire, takes out a number of cars and vaults a number of cars that have stayed on the racetrack. Some hard contact by some of these guys. Allie Owens, ladies, another view of it right there. Ken Butler III making hard contact, as well as the 11 of Brian Silas.
Nothing most of them could do.
That was our first caution of the day. The second one came when we're going to take another look. The big one there. Brian Scott initiating that, but nothing he could do. The right rear tire blowing. The second caution came out when the 0-1 right front tire, that's Justin Marks in that car, it goes, and up into the wall he goes.
Yeah, the ConstructBuddy.com Toyota was running well up in the top 5, and away it went. And here's the 33 of Ricky Carmichael. Same story, right rear tire goes out. Fortunately, the only car involved in this one.
And one thing that's been impressive, and you hate to say that it's just been the tires, but we haven't really had any mental mistakes out there that we've seen somebody do something wrong and cause an incident. It's been tires.
We've had some mental mistakes. They just haven't caused
any incidents. Yeah. But no, the guys have done a good job. And a couple of those wrecks, even that first wreck, could have been bigger if some of the guys in the back weren't heads up. So been very proud of the way most of the guys have done today.
Yeah, and Justin Marks was running 5th when he blew out his right front tire, the only car involved. Ricky Carmichael running 6th when he blows his tire, nobody else involved. So these guys have really done a terrific job.
A lot of times what we'd see when the 5th place car had a problem was a knee-jerk panic back in 7th or 8th car and wind up getting more back there, and we haven't seen it. We've really seen the guys doing a good job today.
Championship contender Ricky Stenhouse Jr. stayed out on the racetrack. What's the story on that, Jim?
Well, he did stay out, and they're also worried about fuel a little bit. I just talked to crew chief Jeff Campy. Lumpy said, we're going to be close. They came in on lap 31. They're staying out. And right behind them is ARCA veteran Mark Thompson, who's been a fixture on super speedways here in the ARCA Remax Series over the course of years, driving the Rulo brothers number 39. This car has yet to finish outside the top 5 for Gary Rulo and the boys. They brought in a veteran here who said, wherever Ricky goes, I'll go with him. So they look for the 39 to stay glued to the rear bumper of the Aflac Ford for what is a point contending run for Ricky Stenhouse.
That's a big gamble, I would think, at this point in the race and this point in the season. Just one more race after this stop here at Talladega. We'll find out if it works for him. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Field about to come back to the green flag here as we've just had the problem with Ricky Carmichael blowing the right rear tire. That was on lap 51. We've completed 55 laps. We will be on lap number 57 when they come back to the start finish line as they're working their way through 3 and 4. Again, the big story up to this point, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., championship competitor, stayed on the racetrack. They're thinking it's going to be close on fuel. 39 laps remain in this race.
Yeah, 3 cars have had to go to the back of the longest line here. Obviously, the lead lap line, the 30, the 18, and the 06 all have had to go to the back because of various. 2 were speeding on pit road, and 1 was going above the blend line. So Terry Jones and Chrissy Wallace and Tim Mitchell going to the back. We're going green.
Green flag back in the air. We're back underway. John Jackson got a great jump on Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
You know, it sounds like lumpy. Jeff Campy, the crew chief on Ricky Stenhouse's car, is thinking about trying to go all the way. We heard Jim say he pitted on lap number 31. That left him 63 laps, Kenny. Is he going to try to stretch it?
Well, we had Tony up in the box trying to tell him, Tony Stewart on the box trying to tell him how to save fuel, so you don't know. If any team knows what they can do in fuel mileage, it's the Jack Roush team.
And now up to the high side of the racetrack, that 37 of Dexter Bean. What an impressive paint job on that. The flag draped over that race car. The 37 of Dexter Bean, not on the lead lap. He's 15 laps down to the field. But that doesn't matter. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. trying to work with him to see if he can get by that 72.
That's a nice paint job on that team car right there, Dexter Bean's, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. It is.
Continue to work 2 wide. Again, John Jackson in the 72 leading the race. Dexter Bean in the 37 is 15 laps down, but he's back on the racetrack. And right behind Dexter Bean in that 99 is Ricky Stenhouse Jr. And Joey Logano has moved up on the inside of the lower line.
That's right, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Now, these points are changing every lap. We had just a few moments ago, Ricky Stenhouse was only 25 points behind. That was the last lap. Now he's 35 points behind the way they run right now. That means he's lost a couple spots, or Scott Speed has gained a couple spots. So this point battle is really, really tight.
Yeah, Scott Speed was running in the 8th spot, and now we're seeing Ricky Stenhouse Jr. drop back, but he's trying to push. Look at him give a big shove to that 37 of Dexter Bean, saying, come on, man, we can make it back to the front.
I'm just telling you, you want to be in the lane where all the cars are, and it's going to be tough to get that outside lane working.
Oh, we got problems. Looks like the 30 of Terry Jones.
Remember, he made slight contact. He has a flat left rear tire. He made slight contact with Jeremy Clements, trying to avoid Ricky Carmichael when that tire went down for Ricky coming off turn 4. That may have contributed to his left rear tire going down.
It's got to be a confidence builder for that 18, or excuse me, the 15 of Joey Logano running second right now. His only other ARCA REMAX Series start was back in Rockingham earlier this year, and he dominated that race.
By the way, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. got back in line, and guess where he got back in line?
Right behind the 2.
Right behind the 2 of Scott Speed.
Wendy, what is our motorcycle superstar thinking about this stock car racing career?
Well, his day was cut a little bit short, but it's still all smiles down here. Ricky Carmichael, unfortunate circumstance what happened, but were you able to learn about anything?
Wendy, we've got a problem. The 99 of Ricky Stenhouse almost up in the air. Almost over is the 99 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. This could be the end of the run for the championship.
Boy, the right rear tire is gone on that car. We didn't see exactly what started this. We're hearing that he blew the right rear tire, which is what started this. And what a, you know, we were just talking about him being 35 points behind as they run. Just 2 laps ago, there's Jeff Campy, crew chief. Cannot believe it. What a horrible break for Ricky Stenhouse Jr., this entire Roush Fenway organization.
You know, we're seeing a rash of tire problems today, and that's something that we have not seen here. I mean, we've seen this a lot of this race won a lot of times with coming in and putting run right sides only. You know, so tires have never been a problem here. So be curious what was causing that today.
You see Ricky very, very disappointed, I'm sure, and looked very, very fortunate that he didn't get that thing up in the air. It got up in the air, yeah. Did not go over.
Didn't roll over. But it was close. He got turned around backwards. That car went up in the air, came right back down on its wheels.
Being a veteran open wheel driver, it wouldn't have been the first time he'd been upside down.
Hey, not the first time probably this, you know, in the last 2 or 3 weeks that he's been upside down.
Right.
What a disappointing ending to this race. And the variable has always been, when you come to Talladega, you could be involved in something that will end your day early.
There he is right there, right behind. The right rear tire went down. Justin Lofton had nowhere to go. Look how high that car gets up in the air, and it comes right back down when the roof flaps deploy.
Roof flaps have saved a lot of cars from being upside down in our sport.
You see the debris right there. The tire already went down. Justin Lofton was having a great race. He had nowhere to go. He has a lot of damage, but unfortunately, this is the one these guys circled at the beginning of the year. Let's see if we can get by this race without having something go wrong like this. And unfortunately for Ricky Stenhouse, he did not get by this race without having a problem. Look at that car get up in the air. The left front corner, the only thing remaining on the ground. All four tires up off the ground, and then came back down.
Yeah, it was the only thing touching the ground. Take another look. There's the tire going.
So all the debris already up in the air.
There's Justin Lofton coming by with nowhere to go. A little bit of, I'm not sure that Patrick Shelter even made any contact. Looked like he almost went underneath the rear of that Ford.
So Ricky Stenhouse Jr. slams back to the ground, hits the inside wall, and then gets it straightened back out. So Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has been able to climb out of that race car. He climbed back into the ambulance. They'll take him to the infield care center, check him out, and I'm sure he'll be disappointed, but we'll hear from him. A big change in the points today. Tomorrow on Speed, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series takes center stage. 3:30, Chris Devoto will get it started. 4 o'clock, the green flag will fly. We're looking at the 20th event of the 2008 season for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Eric Darnell on the pole for that race.
Roush Fenway 1, 2, 3 in qualifying, and unfortunately the Roush Fenway effort here for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has gone awry with a right rear tire going down.
So that 99 now has fallen all the way back to 165 points out of the lead and almost out of contention.
Yeah, well, that's, you know, you can, the maximum points you get are 200 in a race, and that drops down 5 points per position. I think they start, you know, probably somewhere around 32 or 34 cars at Toledo next week, and that's, if he ends up this race with a 165-point lead or something like that, it's pretty much all he has to do is show up, isn't it?
Well, what it does is it makes it where you can't win the championship. Scott Speed and team would have to lose it. Right. I mean, you know, you can't perform better than them on equal footing.
Right. Aaron's lucky dog goes to Terry Jones in the 30, so he will grab a lap back, and that will put him the 26th car on the lead lap. So we have 26 cars still on the lead lap here at Talladega. John Jackson out in front. Joey Logano runs second. Tonight on trackside, the crew will have Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt Jr. to talk with. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has already had a tough start to this weekend. They've got a backup motor out. They had to get a backup car out earlier today. The right rear tire exploded on that race car. Something similar to what we have seen today in the ARCA Remax Series race.
You know, we're going to start 35 cars. We've got confirmation from the ARCA Remax officials next week. You can get 200 points plus a 15-point bonus if you win the pole. So 215 points are potential. If you finish 35th, that's 30 points. That leaves 185 points. So Scott Speed will not be able to lock it up if he has a 165-point lead just by starting, but he'll be very close.
Yeah, it'll be one of those where he'll do everything as cautious as possible to get around that racetrack and not have any problems. So Talladega Super Speedway. It's the racetrack that everyone circled as a big variable in the championship hunt, and it has come to fruition for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. They blew the tire. They're out of the race and potentially out of contention for a championship this season. Welcome back to Talladega Super Speedway. Field still rolling around this 2.66 mile super speedway under caution. This one for the 4th caution of the day, and it was one of our championship contenders involved The 99 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
You know, Hoosier Tire sponsors the Super Speedway Challenge. All the Super Speedway races throughout the course of the year, they have a point system. There's our leader right there, and this is the car owner that actually leads this. Eddie Sharp racing right there with Scott Speed leads this, and essentially he has locked this championship up. We saw what happened to Ricky Stenhouse Jr. We saw what happened earlier to Kim Butler III, which is also an Eddie Sharp car. So essentially, Scott Speed, Eddie Sharp has clinched the Hoosier Tire Super Speedway Challenge.
That's a good little bonus they put up too.
Yeah, a lot of money, 75 grand total.
Yep.
Green flag back in the air. This will be lap number 66 that we are on. We've completed 65. Still out front, John Jackson. Now too wide, a little bumping going on there. That's Bobby Gerhart. They got into the side of one of the cars. Now he's moving up the racetrack.
That's Scott Speed right there. He's racing with right now in the Red Bull car.
There may have been some contact between Bobby Gerhart and Scott Speed on this restart, and for some reason Gerhart just kept coming down the racetrack.
He's come. Scott Speed there again. There's Patrick Shelter pushing Tom Hessert. There they are side by side against Scott Speed, the 2 car on the inside, Bobby Gerhart, the Lucas Oil Chevrolet on the outside. Here comes Tom Hessert. He's going to follow Scott Speed on the inside. We haven't seen the outside really work very well, Kenny.
No, and it's definitely not going to work by yourself. But that's always been one of our best speedway cars in the ARCA Re series, so we'll see what happens, but I don't think it'll win out.
They're awfully close right there. And let's go back just a lap or so ago. Watch right of your screen. There's Scott Speed on the inside. Bobby Gerhart moves over. They actually touch once, twice. You see the smoke coming from the tires. And then Bobby's coming down again. He pushes Scott down below the yellow line and then doesn't want to give him any room whatsoever. Looks like Bobby Gerhart just touched again. It looked like it might have been Tom Hessert that time he touched with.
He would like to get back in line. There's not quite room right now.
So Bobby Gerhart continues to try to force his way down on the bottom line.
He's got Patrick Shelter right now on the inside of him. He's right behind Tom Hessert. There's room for Bobby Gerhart if he wants to get down right now.
Better do it quick. Now there's not.
No room anymore. The 44 for Frank Kimmel closes that door on him.
So Bobby Gerhart continues to be shuffled back. We look at Frank Kimmel currently running 10th.
He actually passed Bobby Gerhart, so now he has moved up to the 9th position. Looks like Jeremy Clements, that 3 car right behind Frank Kimmel.
Cars moving all the way down on the apron, trying to avoid any type of contact.
Looks like the 48 car, Ben Stancil. Remember, he's had some damage from an earlier incident. 3 wide, Justin Allgaier on the outside, Max Dumouriez in the middle, Ben Stancil, the 48 on the inside.
3 wide racing at Talladega.
Eddie Mercer's going to jump up. Oh, trouble.
Scott Speed! It's Scott Speed, your point leader, with problems. Let's see if he can avoid any more damage.
Got a couple cars turned around there. There's yet another one turning around. That's the 18 of Chrissy Wallace. That looks like Ben Stancil in that TRG number 48.
And Scott Speed's issues could very well have come from that contact that he had with Bobby Gerhart.
Very much. When you're wrestling with these cars and bouncing them off each other, it'll cut those rubber tires real easy. Now he's got, we see him rolling and make it back down the pit road, but we got serious issues here.
Hey guys, this changes everything now. Absolutely changes everything. Remember, we were talking about giving this championship to Scott Speed. Right now,
we just brought in a guy by the name of Frank Kimmel into this championship hunt once again. Ray.
Rick, I just want to let you know I was standing by down here with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and we were getting ready to do the dejection interview. You're out for the day, and a crew member ran over and said, "We want you in the car. Get to the car. We're getting it fixed. We're getting it ready to get back in the race." Ricky is now getting his Hans and his helmet. We're on our way over there as quickly to give you a report as we can, but it looks like he's going to get back in the 99, get back in this race possibly. And they did see what happened to the 2 car at Scott Speed. I don't think that was their inspiration here, but I think they found the damage on this 99 is not as bad as they thought.
You know, Ray, I was talking to Kenny during the break, and I wasn't sure why Ricky didn't drive that car back around, because it didn't look like it had enough damage to keep them from driving back around to the garage area. he is definitely going to get in this Aflac Ford right here. Now, again, Scott Speed with his problem, that 165-point lead he had just completely went away. Right now, Ricky Stenhouse is shown to be the only car not on the lead lap. So if Scott Speed falls out of the race right now, he will only beat Ricky Stenhouse Jr. by 1 position unless Ricky gets back on the racetrack. But it appears as though Scott Speed's damage is not too severe to keep him from getting back on the racetrack.
Now, looks like they're going behind the wall, though, because they're moving the pit cart. So whatever they're going to fix, they feel they have to fix it in the garage area, and this is going to be big. Oh, I saw those drawers come out. Thought that whole thing might tip over.
Wow, that's a lot of weight that just came out onto the left side of that cart.
It take a tow truck to get that toolbox turned over.
Now, the front end of this car has been affected severely. I mean, we see that shifted over to the left quite a bit.
The problem is I see fluid coming from underneath that car, Kenny, when it made that turn. So that means he's either busted an oil cooler, maybe busted the fuel pump off the motor or something like that.
Yeah, his best scenario would probably be an oil cooler that they could bypass. If it's a radiator, it's got to be fixed. Or, as we see in Justin Allgaier's position, at least pit every lap. You know?
See if we can take a look back at what happened. Scott's running there in about the 5th position, and then just tire goes around. Same thing happened.
Right rear.
You know, 3 or 4 times before. The right rear tire goes down. See, all these guys are trying to take evasive action. Then there's somebody goes through the grass. That's Ben Stansel going through the grass, and then looked like maybe somebody ran in the back. Maybe Max Dumouriez ran in the back of Chrissy Wallace, turned her around in the aftermath. Watch the very top of your screen right there. You see that Red Bull car. The right rear tire goes right there, right in the tri-oval. Around he goes. Tom Hesser does a nice job getting around the outside, as well as Patrick Sheltra.
And then he still doesn't have the damage to the front end of that car until
he might have made a little bit of contact with the outside wall. This is Frank Kimmel's onboard right here. That's Patrick Sheltra right in front of you. See the debris from the flat tire. Frank barely gets by on the outside.
Once again, though, we've just seen heads-up driving by the people behind the accident.
It's got to be Matt Carter right here. He's trying to find a place to go. There you see the dirt, trying to avoid Dexter Bean. There's cars spinning in front of him. He moves to the outside. Gives everybody else a little bit of a room out against the outside wall. He did not force that car into the outside wall. Good heads-up driving by Matt Carter.
They're cutting the front end of this race car off.
You see the water pouring underneath that car right there, Rick.
Yeah, the radiator, obviously, severe damage to it. They're going to cut the front end off. They'll see if they've got, normally in this situation, you'd bring an entire front end that you could put right back on the race car.
That front end will have the bumper, the nose piece, the radiator, everything mounted, and it'll just clamp onto the frame.
Guys, you know we were talking about the points. Look at the points as of now here.
As they run on the track, which obviously Scott Speed is off the racetrack. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is off the racetrack. Frank Kimmel is on the racetrack.
Both of these guys trying to get back on the racetrack. What we thought was going to be a cakewalk for Scott Speed when he got to Toledo. All of a sudden, this is exactly how they started the weekend. Scott Speed with a 65-point lead over Ricky Stenhouse. Ricky got 5 points by qualifying third. He closed it up to 60 at the start of the race. You see crew guys running all over here trying to get parts and pieces to get back on these two cars. It's gonna be a baton toss here. He's gonna give it to somebody else.
Hand it off and continue going. Grab another part, get back to work.
Look at Frank Kimmel right there. Frank's running 8th right now. He's only 140 points behind. Frank could gain a few more positions. He could close to maybe only about 100 to 125 points behind and have a shot at championship number 10, Kenny, when he gets to Toledo.
And ARCA Short Track, we've seen all kinds of things happen, so you just don't know.
You're going to have a bird's eye view of that ARCA Remax race at Toledo, aren't you?
We're going to take the little Federated Auto Parts car there and go play with them Sunday after the Charlotte race. Yes, we are.
What an amazing turn of events has taken place in just the last few laps. Frank Kimmel, looking for his 10th championship, has just been brought back in. The right rear tire goes on Scott Speed's car. Welcome back to Talladega, Alabama, the Talladega Super Speedway. We have had 5 cautions and just 2 race leaders this entire race. Tom Hessert III led 51 laps. John Jackson has been out in front the remaining 21. And so we're about ready to get underway with lap 74 as we're completing 73 laps. The green flag going back in the air. John Jackson leads Joey Logano to the green flag.
Steve Blackburn right now runs in the 3rd spot. Tim George Jr. in 4th. Both of those guys with excellent runs.
Great restart for Joey Logano. Let's see if he tries to make a run on John Jackson. Stays right on that back bumper. Now here comes Blackburn in 69.
Yeah, I think Joey Logano would love to make the move as soon as he can. This is the best time to do it right on this restart if he can get a little momentum going. See these cars fanning out 2 and 3 wide behind here.
Again, we've talked about our 2 championship contenders are both off of the racetrack. Scott Speed most recently had a problem with the right rear that put him behind the wall. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has since climbed back into his race car. And actually, you don't see this very often, but the guy in the black shirt, that's a Cup owner, a Sprint Cup owner that is under the car working on that. That's Tony Stewart working on that car for Ricky Stenhouse Jr., right?
Yeah, they've got the work pretty well completed here on this Aflac Ford. Ricky getting back in the car, putting the steering wheel on. They're trying to clean out underneath. Now what Tony Stewart is doing is he's trying to porta power the front of the nose back out away from the radiator so that they've got room for some air to go in there. They know there's not a lot of laps left to go. They've put bare bond on the left front, added a piece of additional fender. The entire right rear of the car is completely pulled off, and they are just about ready to go. They've got the hood back on here. They only can get, looks like, 1 hood pin in, and whether or not that bare bond, maybe no hood pins in here, so whether that bare bond is going to be enough to hold that on, I'm not sure. But Ricky Stenhouse hoping to make a couple of more laps here at Talladega. Now let's go to Wendy Venturini.
And the battle for the championships gets more and more dramatic by the minute. Scott Speed and his team go to work. Crew chief Patrick Donahue, there's sparks flying, there's hammers flying. They're trying to get his machine back out on the racetrack as soon as possible. It's on jack stands right now. Scott Speed is in the car with the window net up, helmet on. He's just waiting for the team to make the repairs to get him back out there and get him good enough to gain some more laps. They all know what's at stake today. Everybody's watching one another work here between Ricky Stenhouse and Scott Speed and these 2 teams. It really is a battle for the championship right in front of our eyes.
But it's a battle between the crews right now. If Ricky Stenhouse Jr. can get back out on the racetrack, complete 9 laps before Scott Speed comes back out, they'll be on the same lap. And Ricky Stenhouse Jr. could then move ahead of Scott Speed and gain points on him in this championship.
Yeah, right now Dexter Bean, who's still on the racetrack but 14 laps down, has got in front of Ricky Stenhouse. He's 2 laps ahead of Ricky Stenhouse now. So there is a car in between Scott Speed and Ricky Stenhouse as they run on the racetrack. Caught a glimpse of Justin Laughlin there with the damage from that incident when Ricky Stenhouse blew that right rear tire when he came along and clipped the left front of Ricky on the inside.
So Joey Logano looked as though he was thinking about trying to make the move around that 72 of John Jackson, but he stays right in his tire tracks, right on the bottom of this racetrack. Around goes John Jackson. Jackson goes around. He'll catch up a few cars behind him, and the caution comes out once again.
Yeah, Tim George Jr., Bill Baird, Tom Hessert involved, heavy damage to that. Did he get into the back of John Jackson?
It didn't look like it. It looked like there was distance between those 2 race cars.
There's Bill Baird. What a great run he had going. He had a top 5 run going to follow up on that top 5 he had at Daytona earlier this year, Kenny.
Well, we've been very fortunate. Missed a lot of wrecks. This one we didn't miss, but saw that window net come down, so that's what we want to see.
The 99 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is moving. Tony Stewart moving with them. And again, the caution on the racetrack.
There's the 1 car right there. Tom Hessert the 3rd. There's Ricky Stenhouse. That car looks pretty good. Getting ready to go back out on the racetrack. Scott Speed not yet back on the racetrack. There goes Ricky coming back out of the garage, back onto pit road. The left side looks a little bit better than the right side.
I'll tell you what, there's a perfect time for him to come out and log laps, though. I mean, he doesn't have to get up to speed.
Gets to make a lot of laps under the yellow, and this is what he wants.
So Ricky Stenhouse Jr. again, he was 9 laps behind Scott Speed. Now he's coming back onto the racetrack, at least trying to make his way back onto the racetrack. But here is a look at what has just taken place with John Jackson coming out of turn number 4.
See the green car? No, it looked like he must have had a tire go down. Maybe the left rear tire, Kenny.
It's hard to tell off that angle.
Yeah, definitely no contact though from the Joey Logano car. Definitely no contact.
Not at all.
Take another look.
That thing turns so fast, Kenny. If he didn't cut a tire down, then something broke. But here comes Bill Baird, Tim George Jr., Tom Hessert. Absolutely nowhere to go. These other guys right here did a nice job avoiding this.
I just hope we can say that for the rest of the race, because they have done an excellent job.
17 laps remain in this one, and again, we have problems on the racetrack, and this one involving the race leader. John Jackson was leading this race. He had led 25 laps today, and now in front of the pack is Joey Logano, making just his 2nd start in the ARCA Re Series. The first time he started a race was Rockingham. He dominated that race. Now back in front of the field.
Things have really worked out right for him today, because they weren't that strong at the start of the race.
He's done a nice job avoiding a couple incidents. Obviously, he avoided that incident right there with John Jackson. He avoided the incident with Brian Scott. There's the 99 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. back on the racetrack, back in this point championship battle here.
Our top 2 in the points chase, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Scott Speed, both having problems today. Stenhouse Jr. is back on the track. The action's heated up here in the ARCA Re Series. Just wait till tomorrow, 3:30 p.m. Eastern. It is the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series taking the racetrack, and we've got quite a points battle in that series. 1 point separate Johnny Benson and the 33 of Ron Hornaday. Right now, this point battle continues to, well, I guess it continues to heat up as well, as we've had championship contenders involved in 2 accidents, both behind the wall, and Scott Speed still behind the wall. The 99 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has made his way back out onto the racetrack, trying to catch up the number of laps that Scott Speed had put on him. And there you see Ricky Stenhouse Jr. making his way onto pit road, still logging laps.
Right now he is 6 laps behind Scott Speed. This, once he gets off of pit road, goes by the start finish line, which is down towards turn 1, as you mentioned before, Rick. That will be 5 laps behind Scott Speed. Scott Speed still in the garage area, still working on that Red Bull car though.
They continue to work on this one. Again, this is the issue, the reason why we're under this caution. John Jackson just in front of the field, turns around, back up into the field, and Joey Logano goes by unscathed, as does Steve Blackburn. The big story took place early on. The 99 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. almost gets turned over, slams back to the racetrack. And then the 2 of Scott Speed, 9 laps later, blows the right rear tire, and he gets turned around. So they are working on that race car. But our 2 championship contenders with big problems here at Talladega, fighting to get back out on the racetrack.
Sitting on the ground. Was it sitting on the ground before?
Yeah, it looks like they may be gaining on it with this 2-car Scott Speed.
Sounds like they're firing the motors, trying to get him back out on the racetrack. We'll be right back. Coming up immediately following the ARCA Remax 250, this crowd is on hand to see Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Jeff Gordon. Trackside Live is next on Speed.
What a star-studded group they have to join Elliott and Steve and Jeff and Larry and the guys.
You don't think that's for Steve?
I think it's for Steve Burns, but a lot of them are holding up signs like 88 and 24, so I don't know.
There must be some of them for
some of them
Jeff
are there for Jeff and Dale. But
well, they didn't want to make them feel bad.
Right.
But being on the show with nobody hollering for them.
Jim Trado, what's Tony doing?
He's fabricating a brace down here. It was a straight bar piece with 2 holes screwed in the extreme ends of it. He found a place on the pit box to slide it in and bend it now. So he's trying to provide some bracing for this team, so when the car does come back down pit road, if they do elect to do that, they've got a piece of metal now, not just tape, to hold that front nose together. Perhaps that could gain him a little bit more speed on the racetrack. But Stewart's dripping wet down here, sweating, and I think enjoying the fact that he's helping them try to get this car back together as best as possible with that brace he just fabricated himself here on the pit box.
You know, guys, we've seen Scott Speed with all the parts of the car taken off. We've seen Ricky Stenhouse. There's Ricky right there. No right rear quarter panel. You see all the damage. We're getting a report from the ARCA Remax officials that the minimum speed is 161.7. These cars will have to maintain that speed in order to stay on the racetrack. They're lapping in a draft somewhere around 185 to 190 miles an hour, but these cars more than likely will not be able to draft hardly anything unless they draft off each other. But I'm not sure. I think they might be able to run 161, Kenny. What do you think?
It'll be interesting to see. I mean, I think that 99 car's in a little better shape right now.
When we come back, we're going to see the green flag once again. There's only 11 laps of racing to go at Talladega. Welcome back. Green flag just coming out here at Talladega Superspeedway. The field going through 1 and 2 now. Joey Logano in front of Steve Blackburn, Patrick Shelton, Jeremy Clements, and Bobby Gerhart, your top 5.
Justin Allgaier has moved to the outside of Bobby Gerhart. Eddie Mercer going to go with him on the outside. The outside really has not worked. See Frank Kimmel, the 44 on the inside. Let's see if he can get by Justin Allgaier and Eddie Mercer. There's Frank's on board. You see the Lucas Oil car, Bobby Gerhart, right in front of him.
See how much better the sun is now.
It's gone behind the grandstands. As a matter of fact, shadows cast completely over this racetrack. It's getting a little bit darker here. There's no lights, but we're down to 9 laps of racing to go.
There's Ricky Stenhouse coming back out of the pits on the inside of the racetrack. He's going to stay down out of the way on the apron. Frank Kimmel, Justin Allgaier side by side. Remember, they're in a big point battle for the 3rd spot. Justin was able to move up to the 3rd spot with that win on the road course in New Jersey last time out.
This field has gone from 43 cars down to the pack that you see now on the racetrack. Riding along with Frank Kimmel, he sees Allgaier to his outside. Just in front of him is Bobby Gerhart.
We've got ourselves in a situation now where the next, if we see another problem, it could be human.
Yeah. We've had tire failure.
We've had tire problems.
Bring out the cautions up to this point, and now with the laps winding down, just 9 laps, and when they cross the start-finish line, 8 to go here at Talladega. I'm guessing the patience will start to run out.
Take a look at our point battle right now with both Scott Speed and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. back on the racetrack. The gap is 70, but look how that's brought Justin Allgaier, Frank Kimmel, and Matt Carter back in here. Now, Matt Carter, if he ends up 170 points behind, he's probably out of it. But stranger things have happened. You might see Justin.
Oh, problems right there. Strange things continue to happen. The wheel just came off the 48.
That's Ben Stansel. That's actually the carcass of the tire that came off. You see it rolling down in the infield grass. Somebody came along on the inside. Fortunately, went through the grass and avoided Ben Stansel. Left rear carcass was rolling down through the grass on the 48 car. That's a TRG car out of Mooresville, North Carolina.
The tires seem to be separating. I think we've seen that a couple times now. Whereas you mentioned the carcass of that tire just came off.
Oh, I know one thing is everybody's going to be in a pile, and they're going to restart with about 4 to go or something, and it's going to be real exciting.
Single file restart. Inside of 10 laps remaining in this race. The other thing about the ARCA Remax series that you've got to remember, they will finish this under a green flag condition.
Yeah, there can be a potential of multiple green flag finish. You see the 40. He knows something's gone wrong here. He tries to get down to the apron of the racetrack. When the carcass comes off, though, he loses control, slides back up the racetrack. I don't even know if he hit the outside wall there, Kenny, but he's got some damage from some earlier incidents. But Ben does a nice job of only it being a one-car incident again.
You're right. Everybody has done a heads-up job today.
Scott Speed continuing to make laps. You see the front end completely gone on that race car.
This yellow is good for those for Scott Speed and Ricky again, because this gets them log those laps under yellow.
There's Ricky Stenhouse Jr. on pit road. They continue to work on that race car.
Looked like Scott Speed needed to come back down to pit road. Looked like the cowl had come loose and it flipped over.
He's up against the
ARCA Re officials need to take a look at that. They don't want that flying off, so they need to bring him back down pit road and either tape that down or take it off. He doesn't have a hood, so he really doesn't need a cowl flap.
No.
Jim Trado, what kind of work's going on?
What they're trying to do is there's a piece of the fender that just now cut away that's been cutting into the left front tire of Ricky Stenhouse's car. He came down pit road. They had a groove in it as if he was grooving it on a short track. It's about a 1/4 inch wide. And unfortunately, he came down under green a moment ago and had to change the tire again. Under this caution, they brought the Sawzall out and cut away the fender altogether. All that's left there is a lower front balance bracing. I don't think we'll touch the tire, but something was to cause a groove in that left front tire. And fortunately for Stenhouse, this caution could have prevented a whole lot worse if he stayed on the racetrack.
Yeah, Jim, Ricky Stenhouse is probably not going to improve his position. He's 6 laps behind Dexter Bean right now, with only 6 laps to go in the prescribed distance of this race. He's probably not going to gain anything unless Dexter would have a problem right now. And I don't think anybody behind him is going to be able to catch him. He's 8 laps ahead of the car that's next behind him. So I think right now that Ricky Stenhouse is going to finish in the 28th position. Dexter Bean right now is between him and the 2 of Scott Speed, and they have run the same amount of laps. Actually, Scott Speed just completed another lap when he went by the start-finish line. So he right now is 1 lap ahead of Dexter Bean, but the laps are winding down.
And those are our point contenders. Now, our race leader, Joey Logano, is looking pretty strong out front, isn't he, right?
And he's got a great car, Rick. There's no question about that. This is actually a chassis that J.J. Yaley drove a year ago on July 4th at the Pepsi race and in Daytona. But actually now it's a Venturini car. They did their ARCA-izing to it. They did a little bit of work on it to make it good. But a really big part of Joey's great day today has to be Mark Robertson, the spotter up on the top. He has given him a lot of information, given him a lot of knowledge of how to race today. And Joey just said, thanks to everybody there, they feel like they got a good enough car to go. Even though they feel like it's getting a little bit dark, they think that it's a good enough car to win his second race in his second start in the ARCA Remax Series. Jim Trado?
Guys, they just cut away some more bracing on Ricky Stenhouse's car. We're showing you the tire that actually came off the car inflated when he came down pit road just a moment ago. We're now going to show you the tire that he peeled off. They're again addressing the left front. They've cut away more bracing because this happened when he came down pit road last time. Stenhouse backing away.
And we've shown Tony Stewart a few times in relation to Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. drove the USAC car for Tony Stewart. And now the green flag back in the air. 5 laps of racing to go at Talladega.
The top 4 cars jump off. Bobby Gerhardt got a very, very poor start. He is back up to speed now. Justin Allgaier pulls in behind him in front of the 44 Frank Kimmel.
Or did he want a very poor start to get a run at him?
You have a little bit of momentum. We're getting a report now from the ARCA Remax officials. Because of the impending darkness, we will not get a green-white checker finish because they think it's getting too dark. So right now, 5 laps to go, guys.
And that will be it. 5 laps to go in this race. Joey Logano, can he hold off the pack? We have not seen anyone make the move and get by the lead car without there being problems. So Joey Logano trying to hold on to the top spot here at Talladega.
See everybody fighting for room there on the inside of the racetrack, right against the yellow line all the way around. Joey Logano says, if you're going to pass me, you're going to have to do it on the high side.
4 to go.
You know, Kenny, somebody's going to get out of line.
Somebody's going to get out of line. You know, I just don't know if it'll be one of the first 3 cars or 4 cars, though. Someone behind them might make that run, try to make that run up, but I'm not sure. You know, right when you jump out of line and you're in second, the third place guy.
Whoa! Steve Blackburn swerving all over the racetrack.
Flat left rear tire, I do believe.
And he has a flat left rear tire, and he keeps it pointed the right direction. We stay green. 3 wide now as they come through 3 and 4. Gerhardt moves up the racetrack.
And this is what Joey Logano wants to see in his mirror.
How about the strength of that Lucas Oil number 5 of Bobby Gerhardt?
There's Frank Kimmel right there. Look at him, 3 wide. Ooh! He pulls over right in front of him. That's the 3 of Jeremy Clements.
3 to go. Patrick Sheltra in front of the field now in that number 60. We've got another tire issue. A tire has just come off of that car, moving to the inside. 3 wide in the front here.
I think that tire is out of the way. Let's keep it green.
Green flag racing. Patrick Sheltra now in front. Can he hold on, though, after an amazing pass?
How about Justin Allgaier now moves into the 2nd spot in front of Joey Logano.
Allgaier, he's not able to clear Logano completely. Here comes Logano once again on the inside. Allgaier tries to duck in behind him. This time by, it will be 2 laps of racing to go.
Jeremy Clements
Jr. out of the way.
Jeremy Clements, Bobby Gerhardt side by side for 4th. Frank Kimmel right behind them.
2 to go.
There's Eddie Mercer on the outside. He's following Bobby Gerhardt.
Joey wants to look to the outside.
Joey Logano running 2nd. Justin Allgaier runs 3rd. Here comes Bobby Gerhardt once again.
Boy, I saw some debris fly.
I thought it was a tire. I saw a piece of rubber, some kind of debris go up in the air.
Down the backstretch, Joey Logano now looking. Will he make the move? He does not yet. Going into turn number 3. Now Allgaier looks to the outside. He tucks back in behind Joey Logano.
Now Frank Kimmel, Bobby Gerhardt side by side. That's a battle for 5th. Eddie Mercer right behind them, along with John Westtown. They're coming down for the white.
2.66 miles to go, and here comes the 18. Joey Logano with a big run. He's got Justin Allgaier right behind him. 1 lap to go at Talladega.
He got a big run because he had a big push from Justin Allgaier.
A big push.
Can Justin Allgaier make that work, though? He and Patrick Sheltra are going to have to work together to catch that 18. Down the backstretch they go.
He has a little bit of a gap. He may get some momentum. He pulls to the outside. Joey Logano tries to block.
They try to move to the outside, and as they do that, Patrick Sheltra.
Oh, what a move.
How about that? Justin Allgaier now in front of Joey Logano. 1 turn remains. They come through 3 and 4.
We're not done yet, boys. First start-finish line's a long way away.
A long ways away. Justin Allgaier trying to hang on. Now Patrick Sheltra moves both up the racetrack and back down. Joey Logano tries to come up. He's not got enough time. Justin Allgaier coming through the triangle. Can he hold on?